Welcome back to the channel. We are in Bali and we're going to be talking about the brand new POCO F8, and this is the F8 Ultra and the F8 Pro. Both of these devices are launching here tomorrow. I'm actually recording this a day in advance. We're going to talk about the performance, the improvements, the unique experiences, the unique materials that they're using here. Of course, the displays, the refresh rate, the battery life, the charging, everything that comes together and makes these devices so special. So this is TK, this is the F8 Ultra, and this is the F8 Pro. Let's check them out. And of course, as usual, let's see what makes them so special.
Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos for you on the channel. So in front of us we have the brand new POCO F8 Ultra and the POCO F8 Pro. Both of these are launching at the same time, and there's a few specifications that basically differentiate the two. One of which obviously is the material that they used here, which is the denim material on the back of the F8 Ultra. Also, there's a size difference in display. They're actually, you can see a smaller and a larger version of the device. Both of them are going to be, for the most part, embodying the best that POCO is able to offer us for the end of 2025 and into 2026. Now, some of the main specifications that they wanted to highlight for us, obviously, is the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 mobile platform powering the F8 Ultra, a massive 6500 mAh battery, a triple 50 megapixel camera sensors in the back with the Light Fusion 950 with OIS as the primary sensor, a 6.9-inch 120Hz ultra clear AMOLED display, and of course, sound by Bose. Yes, there's also some features here that most devices that you've ever seen don't even have, namely almost like having a subwoofer inside of this device. The F8 Pro is no slouch by any means. It is featuring the Snapdragon 8 Elite mobile platform. This is essentially the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 from last year, which went through the rebranding. So if we had to kind of go with the numbering scheme, this would be the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 4 to the 8 Gen 5 on the brand new F8 Ultra. So the battery that we have in here is slightly smaller, 6210. So considering the size of this actual unit itself, this is actually slightly smaller, still over 6,000. The 100-watt charging is also compatible on both the Ultra and the Pro. Unfortunately, neither one of them includes a charger in the actual box. The display here is slightly smaller, a 6.59-inch display, still 120Hz ultra clear AMOLED display, absolutely fantastic. Now on the back we have a main 50 megapixel camera, a secondary telephoto 50 megapixel camera, and an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and of course the front facing camera in there as well. So we have a triple camera stack in the back. Sound by Bose as well, also optimizing some of the experiences we have in here. Now, as it is typical, POCO still includes cases in the actual packaging in here. I would have loved to have these cases match the design of the actual unit, or maybe even be transparent, but this definitely provides us a protection on the actual units themselves, as we do have screen protectors installed on the front and cases included to protect the actual casing on the back for this device. Design wise, you'll notice that they both feature very similar aesthetical design, essentially a rectangular camera stack in the back, of course a triple camera stack in the back, as well as the fact that we now have that sound by Bose. This is that additional feature that I was mentioning to you guys, where it basically has a subwoofer built into the unit. The material here is absolutely fantastic. It feels like genuine leather. I understand now pretty much the invitation letter why it came with basically a denim carrying case. Very nice and very providing us a very unique experience to this device. Obviously, I have the logo for POCO at the bottom here, and of course, at the end of the day, we're looking at very much a flat surface or flat sides and flat display on the front. There's no curved displays on this one. A volume rocker and power button positioned in the same spot. Top mounted speaker for that mirrored acoustic balanced stereo experience on both of these devices. Again, tuned by Bose. On the left side, pretty much a clean slate all across, just basically in the antenna bands to provide us connectivity. Now, when it comes down to the bottom, we have dual SIM support as well as eSIM support on both of these models. Lastly, the USB-C charging port, of course, supporting 100-watt charging for both the 65 and the 6210. Last thing to mention is that the Ultra does support wireless charging, where the Pro does not. The front-facing cameras are also slightly different, 32 megapixel on the Ultra and a 20 megapixel on the front-facing here on the Pro. One thing to mention overall, the display experience, the UI are all running very much smoothly. They're running HyperOS 3.0 built-in and launching with them out of the box. And as you can see here, the latest version 3.0.2.0 are running on this. Again, F8 Pro to the F8 Ultra. The model that I have in here has 512 gigs of internal storage with the additional storage for the operating system included. This is something that Xiaomi is starting to do in their devices, where it allows us to actually have more storage than what the 512 is, so that when at the end of the day, when a user does get their device, they're actually getting 512 gigs of storage if they purchase a 500 gig in storage model. 16 gigabytes of RAM on this one. one as well as this. There's going to be different variations and depending on the markets that you're in. We talked about the fact that we have the Snapdragon 8 Elite and as well as the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 on this one. Operating system here on top of Android 16 launching out of the box, which is absolutely fantastic and great. The last thing I will mention here on the USB-C port that we have on the Ultra, it does support video out where the Pro does not. So there's a few differences as well in that manner. But again, both of them featuring a flat display, 120 Hertz refresh rate, absolutely fantastic from the sense of audio experience. But let's go ahead and switch over real quick into the settings section. Since we do have Bose at the cornerstone of this experience, let's go ahead into the sound settings, sound effects on both sides. Now, you'll notice here that there's a couple of profiles. There's the dynamic and the balance profile, both selected and tuned by Bose. And one of the main benefits there is the ability of providing us better experiences from either having voice focused experiences if we're listening to acoustic tracks, or even using more of an immersive sound where it actually enables us to have more of a surround sound experience. It actually even boosts the performance of the audio. So depending on the experience that you want, for me, it's been basically a default and immersive sound, and that's been working the best for me. We're definitely going to be doing a sound test, and you are going to be able to hear the difference of what the F8 Ultra can do now that we have that additional piece on the back.
To be able to do the audio test, I wanted to play for you guys a quick song. Now, obviously, this is our favorite song on the channel. We're going to actually go up and put it into the little bubble, and then we're going to also go in and just check into the audio settings and the actual device. There's two profiles. There's dynamic and then there is balance. The balanced one and dynamic are selectable at the top, and then there's a few presets that come under that. I'm going to go with the immersive 360. We're going to be playing our favorite song, and of course you can change it to voice. You could go in and customize a whole bunch of different things. All of these just for reference is under the sound and vibration setting directly within your device. You go in and then you're ready to go. Activate the actual app. And in this situation, I'm just going to make it full screen again. This is Alex Squindo Jumbo by NCS Release. We'll go ahead and make sure that the volume level is at 100% so that you guys can see that right there. And we're going to go ahead and play.
Jack it up.
Now, the big thing about this device is the fact that it actually features 3 speakers. There is the Bose speaker that's on top. That's basically the third option. The 2.1 channel that we're talking about audio is from the speaker at the bottom, the speaker on the top, as well as the Bose on the back. That gives us the extra bass, the extra oomph. The best performance will be if you're actually facing it upwards, according to the engineer from POCO, which we were able to talk to during the launch event. So absolutely fantastic experience, the great material here, the denim experience. It's going to be really nice. And again, listening to music from a device like this, or even watching movies, content, or anything is going to be even more special because of the sound experience.
Now, when it comes down to some of the features we're talking about, HyperOS 3.0, I will have to say that one of my favorite features, it has to be the dynamic wallpaper ability, or the AI-generated dynamic wallpaper. So I'll go ahead and lock my device, unlock it. You're noticing that these little bit of an animation, the Dragon Ball here, this is Shinron flying right above Goku. This was actually generated directly using the AI built-in features to this device. By the way, both of them featuring an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. Also, we still have the ability of using the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor to generate like shortcuts, different experiences. All of those are still very much the same experience here. But let's go ahead and go back home. I'll go ahead and bring it in. We're going to go into the settings section and we're going to go down to personalization. Check this out. Once you get this device, or once you get HyperOS 3.0, hopefully this is a feature that's coming across everything. There's a section that says AI Dynamic Wallpaper. Now, this is the ability of generating wallpapers based on like the settings that we have in the system and everything that we want to do with it. So essentially, what I did is I used this static image, and what I wanted to do basically is give me the ability of generating an AI image of that. And I allowed it to do what it wanted. So it took a static image on my device, which is basically this image on the left side, and it basically took that, went through the AI system, and then generated this live wallpaper on the side. It gave Goku's hair a little bit of a flutter. It gave me access directly into having Shinron move a little bit. If I unlock it and go to the home screen, the same experience goes in right away. I can unlock and the video keeps playing. So it generates a very short one. I'll say that it's not 100% all the time because I've had it in certain areas where it generated a like essentially an AI version of this that didn't make sense, specifically with this one. Let's go ahead and go into the Goku one. I'm going to go ahead and say both of them for now. So we'll say home. Well, actually, let's go back. We're going to say here and we're going to say both, and I'm going to say apply. So you notice right there, it changed the character. In this image, we have a picture of Goku, and it turned into an anime character as well. Not that I'm complaining, it absolutely did an interesting and very decent job for the transition. But for me, at the end of the day, it missed the point of this was actually Goku. I think anticipating it to be in something else. So again, switching it back to the other one, once you create a few, it's absolutely easy. You just go both, go apply, give it a second, and you're back and you have your content in the way you want it exactly, of course. We still have access to being able to run pop-up windows for applications just straight into the window in there. You can expand them, bring them in, and of course, the way you interact with it, you can actually expand it to be full screen, keep it as small, minimize it, hide it, or even just basically close it directly from here. It works the way it's supposed to work. We also have a dynamic experience at the top. You can start a stopwatch, throw it up there. You'll notice that there's a dynamic experience in there. If I'm playing music, it'll actually allow me to go back to it. I can swipe back, bring it back. It pops up in a window, goes away, and it just stays there the way it's supposed to be. Let's say I go back in here and I go into stopwatch is running. Let's go ahead and do a timer. We'll have to say set up a timer, and I'm going to allow it to work. You'll notice now that there's two icons. I can switch between the two, so I can go ahead and switch back and forth. I can hide them all, and I can bring them back, and of course keep alternating between all of them. If we go to the lock screen, let's go ahead and lock the device and unlock it. You'll notice that both of the actual options stay at the lock screen. If I go back into the home screen, it stays in the area. And of course, if I want to interact with them or close them, I can just go ahead and say pause. And of course, we'll go ahead and go pause and then end, and then we can click again. We'll bring that back. Here's the other one. We'll hit pause and I'll go ahead and close it. Very nice and simple and very customizable. Access to the Google field on the left side, access of course to application. We have access to app drawer version and non-app drawer gestures. All of those are included. Google Play services, of course, out of the box. These are global devices where they're definitely going to be supported there. Now, I appreciate the fact that both of them have performance mode built into their battery profiles. So obviously getting the best performance possible is by turning that on. So 3668 for the single core and 10961 for the multi-core with performance mode here on the Ultra, and 2947 for the single core and 9215 on the multi-core. Again, the profiles are intended to be used in high demanding experiences. That's going to be the best experience there. And at the end of the day, of course, you can actually turn it on, turn it off. You can go into the settings section, customize your profile. You can notice here, reverse wireless charging I have. We even have a desktop experience here where we're able to connect it to our tablets. We are going to talk about the tablets. There is two tablets that are launching with these devices, the X1 and the M1, and both are absolutely fantastic displays and of course experiences. But let's go ahead and jump into the camera experience real quick and just kind of see what we're able to do. From a video experience overall, both of these are going to be able to shoot 8K content. So you'll notice right there, 8K video on both of these at 30 frames per second. And the 4K experience, this is where it changes a little bit for us. So let's go ahead and bring it back. I'm going to change the UI so that it looks straight up. Now from a video standpoint, both of these devices will shoot 4K 60 frames per second at their best resolution, as well as the ability of shooting 8K 30 frames per second. So there's no issue between the main sensors on the back. When we switch over to the front, this is where the experience changes a little bit. 4K 60 is supported, 4K 30 is supported here, where 1080p 30 frames per second is the best. The 20 megapixel versus the 32, I think this is where they're distinguishing the differences here. But for the most part, I think the experience is pretty well mirrored in both of these experiences there. We have a few set of filters that are built in. We're able to customize them and go in there, accessing directly the aspect ratio, go in there, customize that area, go into photo. And I love the fact that we're in both of these experiences here, we're able to actually shoot, let's go ahead and bring this out, we're both able to shoot at 50 megapixels full resolution on both of these sensors in the back. But let's not waste any time. Let's go real quick outside and do a quick test.
Usually this part of the video I'm doing in my backyard or sometimes in really interesting locations. Well, we are in Bali. Yes, this is the event that's going to be happening here, the launch event. So you can definitely see here, we're right by the beach. Do apologize for the sun. I chose this background because I felt like it was a little bit more appropriate. But we're doing a quick front-facing camera experience here. 4K 30 frames per second is going to be the best resolution we're able to shoot on the F8 Ultra. The F8 Pro shoots at 1080p 60 frames per second on the front-facing camera because of the sensor difference that we have in there. Now we're using the F8 Pro, the front-facing sensor again. 1080p 60 frames per second is going to be the best resolution. Slightly overcast, so the color representation is a little bit better. I promise it will get obviously exactly the same. I was in the beginning, the first shot with the front-facing camera on the F8 Ultra, the sun was hitting me straight on. So again, good example, same area, the beach, beautiful, beautiful Bali, absolutely humid, so I do really feeling it. But this is a good example what the audio and video is from the front-facing camera. I'm going to switch over to the main sensor on the back on the F8 Ultra. Now we're using the main sensor on the back. 4K 60 frames per second is across all of the actual sensors on the F8 Ultra. The F8 Pro actually does drop to 1080p on the ultra-wide because of the different sensor that we have in here, but the experience is very much mirrored on the main and the telephoto. 4K 60 and we have 8K 30 frames per second. Beautiful, the HDR processing, and I apologize, the sun is back again. And of course, what we're seeing here is just a good example what the audio and video can give us. I like the fact that what we're getting here is a mirrored experience, similar experience between both the Pro and the Ultra. Obviously, Bose has a very big presence in this device because of the speaker system and the sound tuning, and we're going to definitely dive in a little bit more on that. But again, a good example of the audio and video from the brand new F8 Ultra.
Now, as you see there, the audio experience and the video experience is really nice, and you're able to get the best experiences obviously on the main and the telephoto, since we're both supporting 50 megapixel cameras and higher resolution experiences there. Now, the one thing I would probably say is that the 8 megapixel camera here is where it limits our experiences on this device, because the ultra-wide is not able to shoot at 4K 60 frames per second. Here, when we are in the actual unit, so let's see, 4K 60 on the main, on the obviously on the main sensor, on the ultra-wide, as well as the telephoto. The 2X is mostly a crop, so essentially, for the most part, all three lenses are able to shoot in those experiences, and I think this is something to be appreciated there. Now, when we switch over on the front, we lose 30 frames per second, but I still love the fact that we have a 4K experience. So very nice and very good. From an audio experience, both of them are going to sound fantastic, although I will end up giving this to the From an audio experience, I definitely appreciate both of these devices, but I will have to give it to the F8 Ultra because this is where the audio experience truly shines. I do want to share one last thing before we go too far, in case you're thinking about bringing this into the US or testing it in the US. This was a quick test using T-Mobile here in the Los Angeles area. It did clock in at 371 down and 62.6 up. Now, definitely very nice. As you can see here, it did lock in into the 5G network. So we are looking at sub-6 support here in LA on T-Mobile. Definitely make sure to double check the band support on the device and the area that you're in case T-Mobile uses different bands in different areas, or your carrier may support similar ones. Now, when it comes down to the gaming experience, we're pretty much looking at a very similar experience across both devices. The 8 Elite and the 8 Elite Gen 5 are both powerful processors capable of providing us some of the best gaming experiences. You're able to change the profile here from different options, from balance to wild boost, although on the F8 Pro, you pretty much have one profile to be able to work with. But you do have the boost mode, which allows us to actually boost the performance of our device to give us the best experience. You can customize the areas in here to do not disturb, snap images, record screen, which is what we're using to be able to share with you guys some of these experiences there. Under the settings here, we're able to shoot or at least basically play up to 120 Hertz refresh rate, and that's going to be the best experience on this device. And when it comes down to video experience, the best quality experience that we're going to get here is ultra and medium setting. That's going to be the best experience overall on this device, which again, what we're getting here pretty much consistent across the board from what we've seen. We've reached a point now where a lot of the mobile games that we have right now are great, and they're going to run great on these devices, especially devices like these where we have displays so beautiful like this. The colorfulness, the reflections, you can definitely see they appreciate what they've done in this device. And of course, having a flat device means that we have a better gaming experience. So gamers are definitely going to be appreciated there. The last thing I will say, as we're looking here with some of the games that you're looking in as far as the samples, the edges of the actual unit are rounded and they're not sharp. So when you're holding it for an extended amount of time and it sits against your palm, you don't have that digging effect. So we don't have obviously curved edges, but we have rounded edges here on all top 4 areas, well, basically all 4 corners of both the F8 Pro as well as the F8 Ultra. Now, there's no question that this device is going to perform absolutely great. We have some of the best experiences when it comes down to the processor, the display, the battery, the charging tech. Again, having wireless charging on the Ultra, I feel like this is where they're starting to delineate between what the Pro and the Ultra are offering us. Now, Xiaomi and POCO have been able to do a lot of work into this device, and which allows us to have some of the best experiences. And I love the fact that they're both launching with HyperOS 3.0. That's Android 16 out of the box, which very few devices are getting them. Prior to this, it was basically just one series of devices from Xiaomi, and now we're looking at 2, the F8 Pro as well as the F8 Ultra coming out with that. For the best experience overall, when we start talking about cameras and experiences, you're taking images, you're seeing some of the images I'm basically used here in LA. And of course, as I'm going to the event in Bali, I'm also taking some of these images and want to share with you guys the flexibility of what the camera system can do here. I'm really appreciating the fact that we have the ability of having a versatility of going up to 8K, 4K 60, and I feel like the Ultra is more well-rounded when it comes to 4K, as 4K 30 is supported on all sensors, and 4K 60 is supported on all the sensors in the back, as well as the ability of actually, jumping into the camera that you want. I want to say that basically that the F8 Pro is basically more of a tailored experience to fit into the Pro. The 8 megapixel on the ultra wide is definitely one of the things I probably will say are not necessarily the strongest camera sensors in there, but for a general ultra wide, I think it really does a job nicely. I feel like just for higher resolution fidelity, obviously if you want to shoot at 4K 60, you're definitely going to appreciate having that 50 in the back. The 8 Elite and the 8 Elite Gen 5 are both absolutely fantastic when it comes to processors. You're able to get them both in 16 gigs and 512 gigs of internal storage. I appreciate the fact that we have video out on the Ultra, as well as the fact that we have wireless charging. And of course, last but not least, cannot mess with the fact that the material on the Ultra is absolutely unique. Never have I ever said that I wanted denim in my life, but once I had it on this device, it feels so good. It literally feels as good, or pretty much a very similar feeling to the pocket that we put this device in on a day in, day out experience. So this is, I feel like what they were trying to do in here is give you that extension of where the container that your device is sitting in. So I appreciate this. I also appreciate the sound by Bose. For the most part, when I was testing this out, I gave this to my son and I said, listen to some of your music on this, but use it on speaker mode and don't listen using a headset. The device plays sound so well, it sounds like a portable speaker in your hand. It does not sound like a smartphone, because typically, even with the best sounding smartphones, you're always kind of limited by the way the sound is generated or the bass is felt. And this one, although not essentially, again, not like a big speaker, it is absolutely an improvement over what we've seen in the past. Both POCO and Xiaomi have done a great job providing us this unique experience, and I love that the F8 Pro also gets some of that love as well. And with that being said, I do appreciate Xiaomi for allowing me to test out both the F8 Ultra and the F8 Pro. I think they're both great devices coming into 2026. I think they're going to carry them very well. The F series is their flagship, and of course, by far the most exciting version of device I've ever seen from Xiaomi before. Even, although I will say this, I do love their gaming devices back in the day when they had the triggers on the side. I do appreciate what they're doing here. The material, the functionalities, the settings, the features. The F8 Ultra is absolutely knocking out of the park, and the F8 Pro is a great option as well. If anybody is looking to consider one of these two, let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.